Hello everybody and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. We'll be giving you all the first appearance in your comic shops today. Now this week we got a pretty good lineup for you guys. I think we have 7 first appearances, 4 honorable mentions, so 11 titles on to go through. Definitely some books in there you guys should pick up for your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearance of the week ending June 13th, 2025. First up from DC Comics, Absolute Batman number 9. This features the first appearance of Absolute Bane. This also features the first appearance of Absolute Deathstroke, briefly in a photograph. So I don't really know if that counts as a cameo or the first full appearance of Deathstroke. Now we've been talking about this Absolute series from DC Comics for quite some time now, and I always tell you guys, anytime they bring a new character into the series, these are books you definitely want to have in your collection. Typically, the Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, and the Absolute Wonder Woman title series, these are the ones, whenever they bring a new character or an absolute version of an existing character, these are the ones you want to pick up at the cover price. You know, this Absolute series from DC Comics has been incredibly popular with fans and collectors, so this is one you don't want to miss out on when they bring new characters into the series. So this is one we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from DC Comics, Action Comics number 1087. This features the first appearance of Rays. Now, we don't really know how important this Rays character is going to be in the overall Superman universe, but they are bringing this character into the Action Comics title series, and this here is a tentpole title series for DC Comics. You know, Action Comics, this is kind of where it all began, so the fact they're bringing the character into this particular title series and not a spin-off or offshoot series, that might give this character a little bit more credibility, might make this character more important in the future. You know, oftentimes when they bring characters into B-series or spin-off series, a lot of times those characters will just stay in those spin-offs, or maybe they'll just be important in a specific story arc in that spin-off series, and they don't really have that much staying power for the future. But like I said, this Rays character, the fact they're bringing this character into the Action Comics title series, this one here may be more important. So this one here is definitely going to be a little more speculative, because you are speculating on this character having some importance in the future and having some lasting power. So this one here, definitely give this some consideration. Like I said, probably going to be speculative, but for the cover price, definitely worth a spec. Grab this here for a spec if you can. Next up from DC Comics, Robin and Batman Jason Todd number 1. This features the first cameo appearance of the Wraith. This also features the first appearance of Cuckoo. Now, like we just mentioned a moment ago with the Action Comics and the spin-off series, this here Robin and Batman Jason Todd title series, this here is definitely a spin-off series for the Batman universe. You know, we really don't know how important this series is going to be in the future, or how long this series is going to last. This here does have the first cameo appearance of this Wraith character, and also the first full appearance of Cuckoo, but like I said, Robin and Batman Jason Todd don't really know the importance of this series going forward. You know, if they do bring these characters into the overall Batman universe, then this is one you definitely want to have in your collection. These are first appearances. You know, but if these characters just stay in the spin-off series, you know, then they may not be all that important going forward. This one here will definitely be speculative if you choose to pick it up. But you know, for the cover price, $3 or $4, you may be sitting on a huge winner here. So if you can, grab this here for a spec. Next up from Marvel Comics, Avengers Academy number 1. This features the first team appearance of the Avengers Academy. This is Captain America Aaron Fisher, Bloodline, Escapade, Moon Girl, Red Goblin, and Kid Juggernaut. We typically do recommend picking up any first appearance of new characters or new teams in the Marvel Comics. You know, Marvel Disney is still churning out a ton of media for the small screen, big screen, and if any of these teams or characters hit the screen, collectors will race back to the secondary market and try to find these first appearances. Now, I don't really know how important this Avengers Academy is going to be to the overall Marvel Universe, but like I said, typically always worth picking up anyway. You do have the first team appearance here, and this here is also the premiere issue of this title series. So this one here is one we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from Marvel Comics, Death of the Silver Surfer number 1. This features the first appearance of Kelly Ko, an agent. Now this here's a 5-issue limited series that confronts the Silver Surfer with an earthbound human threat and a mind-bending cosmic threat. Now, there's been a lot of chatter about this book prior to release, so anytime there's chatter in the industry, we do typically recommend picking those up. This here does have the first appearance of this Kelly Ko, this agent. Don't really know how important that character is going to be in the overall Marvel Universe or in the Fantastic Four Silver Surfer universe, but like I said, there has been a lot of talk about this particular title series, so anytime there's chatter like that, there's definitely something going on, and these are books you definitely want to have in your collection. So this one here is one we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from Marvel Comics, Giant Size Amazing Spider-Man number 1. This features the first appearance of Rapid. Also, Kid Venom enters the mainstream Marvel Universe in this issue. Now, like I always mention to you guys, anytime they bring a new character into the Spider-Man universe, these are books you definitely want to have in your collection. Not only that, but this issue also brings Kid Venom into the mainstream Marvel universe. I don't really know how important Kid Venom is going to be in the future, but the fact that they're bringing Kid Venom into the mainstream Marvel universe, that may be a big deal going forward. It really depends on what Marvel Disney decided to do with that character. This here is also a giant size issue. You know, the giant size issues do have a huge fan base and collector base anyway, and the fact that this here is a giant size Amazing Spider-Man with a first appearance, this was one, in my opinion, you definitely want to have in your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. And finally from Marvel Comics, the New Avengers #1. This features the first team appearance of the New Avengers. This is Carnage, Hulk, Namor, Clea, and Wolverine. This also features the first team appearance of the Illuminati. This is Bolt, Guru, Strange, Mr. Ouroboros, Professor Extinction, Luke Charles, and Iron Apex. Now this one here, definitely one you should pick up and add to your collection. This is the New Avengers. This is the premiere issue of this series. This is the first team appearance of not only the New Avengers, but the first team appearance of the Illuminati. A lot going on with this issue. For $3 or $4, one you definitely want to have in your collection. Like I just mentioned a moment ago, Marvel Disney is still churning out a ton of media for a small screen and big screen. You can almost be certain they're going to do something with all these characters or these teams in the future. So this one here, one you should definitely pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. And now for the honorable mentions. From Oni, Blood Type #1. A vampire whose chosen hunting grounds are a Caribbean resort finds that she is being hunted by an older, wiser predator. Now we put this one here on the list because this here is the EC imprint from Oni. That imprint is bringing a lot of attention, huge fan base, huge collector base for a lot of the titles on that imprint. And this here is a premiere issue of this new Blood Type title series. So in my opinion, this is a great pickup. This is definitely going to be speculative because, you know, you are specking on this having importance in the future. Like I said, these EC imprints that Oni's been releasing, these have a huge fan base, a huge collector base. People have been loving these books. They have been collecting them, picking up a lot of the variants as well. So this one here definitely has the potential to go strong in the future. But like I said, you never really know. So this one here, definitely going to be speculative. Choose to pick it up. In my opinion, a great spec bet. So if you can, grab this here for a spec. Next up from Marvel Comics, Phoenix #12. This features the origin of Sarah Gray. Now, like I mentioned to you guys in the past, modern day collectors don't really care too much about origin stories anymore. That was definitely a bigger deal back in the day with more vintage collectors. Today, modern collectors don't really care too much about the origin stories. They just chase the first appearance of new characters or the first cameos. This one here does feature the origin of Sarah Gray, so it is an important story. It does have some key relevance, but like I just mentioned a moment ago, it really depends on how important origin stories are in the future, if anyone really cares. That's what's going to make this here a little bit more speculative. In my opinion, still worth picking up origin stories, especially for Marvel characters. You know, for $3 or $4 for the cover price, I think it's definitely worth picking up and owning. If you can, grab this here for your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Runaways #1. Now we put this on the list because this here is a premiere issue of this title series. This here is volume 5, I believe, so there have been 4 iterations prior to this. But you know, Runaways, that franchise does have a huge fan base and collector base, so the fact that they're rebooting or restarting the series, and this here is a premiere issue of this series, it may be worth picking up and owning. Like I mentioned in the past, sometimes these premiere issues, they do have hidden first appearances that we may not know right now, but you know, they do come out a little bit later on. So it's typically worth picking up premiere issues of these rebooted series from Marvel Comics. You know, you can't really go wrong for $3 or $4. So in my opinion, one you should pick up for your collection, go ahead and grab this one. And finally for Marvel Comics, Spider-Girl #1. Now we put this on the list because this here is a premiere issue of the first Spider-Girl series. Now I don't really know how big of a fan base or collector base Spider-Girl has, but anything related to the Spider-Man universe is definitely worth consideration. You know, anytime there's a first appearance of a new character or a new costume change or superpower introduced into the Spider-Man universe, those are books you definitely want to have in your collection. Any of these premiere issues of these spin-off characters are also definitely worth considering. Like I mentioned before, you know, Spider-Man, the most popular and most heavily collected franchise for Marvel Comics, and the Spider-Girl series, you know, if this takes off, you definitely want to have had the premiere issue. But like I said before, don't really know how popular this character is right now or how popular this character is going to be in the future. So this one here is going to be a little more speculative. But you know, anything related to Spider-Man, usually worth the risk. You know, $3 or $4, you could be sitting on a huge winner here if this goes big. And if it goes nowhere, you're out $3 or $4. But you know, like I said, anything related to Spider-Man, these premiere issues, usually worth having in your collection. So go ahead and grab this one if you can. So there you have the 11 titles we have for you guys this week. There's definitely some books in there you guys should pick up for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.